Wales, a country taking tech to new heights. Our industry is booming. It shapes and innovates the world. It pushes beyond limits and defines progress. It produces a world-class workforce that competes on a global stage. Technology affects every aspect of our lives. We are faster, better, stronger. Wales is ready to stand up. We are a driving force, creating technology that will be used for generations. This is Wales Tech Week 2021.
Welcome everyone to day 5 of Wales Tech Week, a celebration of the tech scene here in Wales. My name is Christian Coates. I'm the Managing Director of Method 4. I'm also the co-chair of Technology Connected, a membership organisation for technology organisations here in Wales. Today I'm delighted to introduce Sally Meecham, CEO of Digital Public Services Wales.
Yes, hello. I'm really glad to be here. My name's Sally Meecham, as you said. I'm the Interim Chief Executive for the Centre of Digital Public Services. My background is about 20 years. I should cut it down, but I say 20 years in digital transformation, working predominantly in the public sector, but I have worked in the private sector and third sector, working with organisations to help them design and deliver services that are based on user need, and as importantly, looking at the shape and the structure of their organisation, the skills and capability to be able to support delivering services in an internet age. I've held some Chief Digital Officer at DEFRA, Chief Operating Officer at Government Digital Service, Chief Digital Technology Officer at Crown Commercial Services, some nice big meaty jobs, but it's all about delivering services that are based on user need and making sure that the people delivering them have the right skills and capability to do that.
Fantastic. And Sally, what is the current focus of work for the Centre for Digital Public Services?
Well, just I'll perhaps give a little bit of background because we are fairly new, so I'll explain what the Centre for Digital Public Services is. We are an organisation, an arm's length body that's been set up to support the whole of the Welsh public sector, including those organisations that have a role in delivering public services. So that could be housing, the third sector, blue light, to show them and help them to be able to design and deliver services that are based on the user. And that is it's a different approach. It's a kind of looking at how do we make sure that we can translate those needs and design services that meet their needs, that are simple, transparent, that are easy to use and doesn't cause friction or frustration. We were basically here to improve the public services of Wales. It started off a couple of years ago with a document called System Reboot. Lee Water, who's now the Deputy Minister for Climate Change, really pushed this forward and said we need to be doing more in Wales. We need to be looking at how do we improve the services of Wales, and how do we use technology smartly, and how do we have the right skills and capability in Wales to be able to move forward and jump forward quickly, because there's a lot of catching up to be done. So the document was produced. I led a discovery phase. The discovery phase means what's the problem we're trying to solve, and we had a survey that we had a very great response across the Welsh public sector, which asked the question is what's the barriers to digital transformation in Wales, and the main barriers were leadership. People felt that their leaders didn't understand what was meant by digital, or were ignoring what was actually happening out there with regards to the increasing expectations of how people get their services delivered. it was a lot around digital skills and capability. In Wales, we're pretty good around cyber and we're pretty good around technology, but understanding user design, content design, being able to understand the service design, because services aren't just delivered in one part of the organisation. The whole organisation needs to be involved. Your policy needs to align with your people and skills, with your governance, with your operations to be able to deliver good services. And you need to be able to know how to continuously improve them, not just put them out there and hope that they will just be continuing to meet the user need, because user needs change. And obviously we've seen with COVID, there's lots of other factors that will come in that will make a change to how we deliver our public services. So also, people felt there was a real need to be able to collaborate and be together. We're small enough, we should be able to look sideways across Wales and say, okay, how can we do this together? Because the journey of a user doesn't just start and begin in one department. Quite often you might go across health, you might go across the local authorities, also, libraries, whatever it is, we need to be able to make sure that that's look and feel and consistency is across that service. So that's what came out of the discovery, what then led to us running an alpha phase. And the alpha phase was, okay, what are we going to do about it? What is it that we need to do to help support the public sector in Wales? And we have done a number of different pieces of work on that to look at how we can really properly support, make an impact, and also have a lasting impact on the skills that we have within the organisation. So it's now in its proper year where it's properly funded. We've got 4.9 million for this financial year to continue that work, and we're really delighted with that. We're very pleased that we've retained our minister as well, who's very passionate about making sure that we have good public services in Wales.
Sally, you covered quite a lot there. I wonder whether I can just bring you back to one of the points, the digital strategy for Wales. The report published in March mentions the role that the CPDS will play. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
This is a really it's hugely exciting for Wales. Now I'm speaking at the other events. I'm really talking this up because this is a strategy for Wales that is joining up health, local authorities, social care, the third sector, ourselves, and Welsh Government. And we are looking to how do we together collaborate to deliver better public services. So one of the areas we own with regards to the Centre for Digital Public Services on how we can help improve the public services. But also we will have a role in ensuring that that strategy is delivered. And what's really great about this strategy is that it includes digital inclusion, it covers the economy, it covers infrastructure, all those different areas that need to be in place and aligned and working together to be able to improve public services. So we are working at the moment on how we can be involved, what type of role we will have to monitor that delivery of that services. But I think what makes it different this time is the strategy has an action plan, and that's published. So we need to do it. How we're going to do it, we're going to, this is what we're working at the moment, but it's there. We're going to deliver a digital strategy for Wales. And I think what's really important is that we start to do this. We start to look at 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. How do we improve? How do we grow? And how do we do this together? So we're really excited to be part of that, part of the kind of monitoring process and also the delivery process.
Okay. And looking at Wales as a whole, do you think it's a good size, it's a good shape, it's got the right kind of technical resources and pool of talent to achieve this?
We do need to look at how do we, one, build digital skills and capability within the public sector. And one way of doing that is that we have a skills and capability programme. We've delivered to over 500 leaders across Wales. The introduction to digital, because well, not everyone, but a lot of people think digital is just technology, but it's it's a rubbish word, to be honest, because it covers so much. So it's explaining that when we're talking about digital, we're looking right across what your finance team, they need to understand that we need to be more agile. We're not going to plan out 3 or 5 years ahead, because we need to be able to be responsive to what the user needs are, and what the situation is with regards to whether it's politics or whether it's COVID that comes up. So we need to be much more flexible in how we operate our services. So we have so we're delivering courses. We are also looking at how we can get involved with the education sector in Wales. So we've just done lots of research about what kind of digital data and technology courses are being delivered currently in Wales, and we do find there's a big gap around service design, user research, product ownership. As I said, lots of great stuff happening with regards to cyber and software engineering, but a real lack of those types of skills that we absolutely need within the Welsh public sector. So we are working on how can we create digital apprenticeships, how can we influence curriculums, and how can we make sure we have an excellent pipeline of skills and talent to come into the Welsh public sector. And at the same time, we need to be talking up the Welsh public sector. It's a very exciting time to be part of it. So we want to not just build our own, we also want to attract as well, and make sure we retain the really excellent people that we've got within the Welsh public sector, and make sure they have the skills and capability to deliver services in the internet age.
One of the recent challenges that we've all faced is obviously the series of lockdowns we've been through. Have you seen any sort of innovation? I mean, I know I have in my own household with my children using tablets and Kindles and PlayStations and Xboxes to do to conduct their lessons. But are there other examples of good innovation that you've seen as a result of the lockdowns?
We have moved forward very, very quickly. I mean, I've spent years trying to work with organisations to talk about how we digitise services. There's always myths, there's always reasons not to. Quite often when you're saying I want to digitise perhaps registration for something, and they'll say you can't do that, and you ask why, because someone's had a conversation about 15 years ago and someone said you couldn't do it. So in this era, through the COVID, we had to get stuff done. We had to move it forward. We had to chuck egos and individual departmental squabbles out the way. We had to focus to what the user needed, because it was literally life or death. So that made, I think, a big, massive difference to how we approach delivery. We were we're really collaborative, really working together, meeting on a daily basis. We were using Office 365 in a way that we had never done before. People were adapting. Perhaps people had been not that keen on doing so much online, but literally this kind of forced us to do much more than we've ever done before. So I think the kind of the using video and using the internet on a daily basis, that's the kind of uplift of skills, and that's been a good result out of a bad time. I think there's been some absolutely amazing stuff. So Mike Ogonowski, who's the Chief Digital Officer at Iron Bevan, very quickly, with obviously lots of other people, got together an online patients consultation. They had to break through some big barriers. They had to change some rules. They had to dismiss some of the governance, because they needed to get this done. But what I'm hoping is we will reflect on that and say, actually, was all that governance necessary? Actually, can we streamline the way that we deliver services and move at far more pace than we've ever done before? We've also got things like Liz Lucas in Caerphilly, who are delivering free school meals and using RPA, really freeing up some of their people, so their people can actually work with the people that are using the service and be able to manage and deal with spikes during that time. So there's just a couple of examples. The Mike Ogonowski example is on our website, because we have monthly knowledge sharing sessions, and the last one we had was around technology. Needs to go into more detail about that. But yes, loads of great stuff is happening. The big thing now is, how do we ensure that the stuff that we learn, that the kind of risks we took, that didn't break us, that we can continue with some of that kind of pace and delivery. I think that's one of the big things that will come out of this. We delivered at pace. Let's learn from that, and let's continue not putting big barriers in the way.
Talking about the future, how do we sort of guard against, or how do we ensure that we take new technologies on board and deliver them as part of public services in the future, whatever those new technologies may be?
Let's think first about what is it we want to do. So I am quite often surrounded by people, technologists, which I love, and I love technology, but the question's always a bit wrong, is how should we use technology? What we really need to be able to understand, and it is it takes time and effort and the right skills and capability, is what problem are we trying to solve? Too often, and it's still going on, big procurements go out for big technology platforms, and when I'm always the person who says, well, how do you know what you're going out for if you don't know what your problem is? And then sometimes people say, well, this is just a platform, you don't need to use user needs, but you wouldn't be delivering technology to, I don't know, robots. It'll be a person at the end that has to use that technology, be able to do the change within the organisation. So I really, I mean, this is what I've been doing for 20 years, like, and I'm sure people are thinking, like, stop banging on about it, but it really is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Before you look at the technology, what is it you want to achieve? What impact are you trying to get? I think it's really critical that we understand what technology is out there, so we need to be up to speed, but that shouldn't drive our decision making. It should be, this is the problem we're trying to solve, what technology can we use to do that?
I suppose that brings me on to sort of my final question, really. What is the role of suppliers, in particular SMEs, in Wales, delivering to the digital strategy and helping deliver digital public services?
What we need to be able to do is work much more closely with the supplier community to be able to explain really what it is that we're going to be going out to market for. I think that from recent procurements we've done within the centre, we have had responses from Welsh business, but and some of them obviously been very good, but we do think there's more to be done and more relationship building to be done between the public sector and the supplier community. There really is still this sort of sense that we are going out for a technology solution. We're not. We're going out for, we want user researchers, we want service design experts, we want organisational design experts, we want people that can understand how to create a good governance structure that will enable agility with it across the organisation. And I think there's, as I said, much more we need to do about that, and engage with the suppliers on that. I think that, as I said, I keep saying there's a great technology scene in Wales, but I'm not talking about technology here. I am talking about those types of skills that we need. Content designers, I mean, this is such a critical role, to be able to write information that is easy and simple to understand, that is consistent across all those other government websites, so you're not having to learn a new language, and being able to use that service, the interface of it, it's similar, so it's seamless. So these are the types of roles we are looking for. There's not masses of them in Wales, and we want to have more, but we want the supplier community to start thinking about who are the people they got on their books, have they got the right skills and capability themselves, and can they help support us deliver good public services. One of the things that we will be doing is delivering a well, we'll start off with one, but probably have a lot more than that, is a webinar where we explain the types of things that we're looking for from the marketplace, start to publish and talk about our pipeline of work, and work with suppliers to help ensure that they are winning the business for Wales and CDPS. Obviously it's open to everyone, but we do want to be able to encourage Welsh businesses to improve and encourage businesses to come into Wales. There's the digital marketplace. We want more Welsh companies on that. There are the way that you actually respond to tenders that can be improved and increase your chances of winning work. So there's a lot of kind of education and work that we can do together. But I do think that we're in a great position in Wales. There are millions of pounds going to be spent on the digitisation of public services, or even the improvement of public services, because we need to say, is it the best way to improve that service by digital, or is it still a face-to-face? And how do we make sure that the people that are excluded are not left behind, but are on this journey with us? So there's a whole load of work we need to do together, but just to kind of answer that, we need to work a lot more closely with the supplier community so they can understand where we're coming from and what our needs are.
Sally, thank you very much for your time today. It's been really enjoyable talking to you, and there's quite a lot for people to think about there, and exciting times ahead. Sally Meecham, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Rewatch all of our sessions online. Thank you to our partners.